If you enjoy the subject matter of these podcasts, then you would definitely enjoy any of the 3 Patreon discussion groups that are available. You can read about these groups by going to theinfinitesparkofbeing.com and clicking the Patreon/donate button. This is a community of everyday people who are interested in living with a deeper understanding of spiritual practice and how it can be applied in a practical sense to our everyday lives. Join us. Welcome to the Infinite Spark of Being podcast. My name is Keith Welsh, and if you're watching on YouTube, I look this way because I just got done running, and I wanted to do a podcast that'll be out tomorrow. I wanted to start the discussion, the topic for this month. I also wanted to do an episode on turning 48. I turned 48 yesterday. The day before yesterday, on Friday, I did my birthday ritual, which I want to talk about. I want to talk about the importance of it to me, what it means to me, and hopefully you'll get some insight out of that. And I also wanted to discuss karma yoga. That is what we're going to be getting into this month, especially on the second Wednesday on the Insight group. If you're on the Patreon, take a look at that. We're starting the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the path of selfless service, the path of karma yoga. I want to discuss what that really means. Selfless service does not mean that you work in a soup kitchen for free and quit your well-paying job and leave your family and all that. Selfless, the self they're talking about is the small self, the ego, the self-concept, the attachment to outcome, which is related to the ego, which is a very much an evolutionary psychological thing. It's not the end of the world, it's a fact of life. You do have an ego, you will always have an ego. You will always have some sort of a self-concept, and what Jesus said, be in the world but not of the world. You have it, but it's not you. I am driving a Mazda, but it's not who I am. I am wearing a blue t-shirt, but it's not who I am. Right? I have a job, I have an occupation, I have career stuff, but it's not who I am. It's just what I do. And it's like your hobby's not who you are. So when we start to let go of those things, that is selflessness. So to act without the self is to do without attachment to outcome. So this month we will be discussing what that means deeper, how to accomplish that. I'll tell you a really interesting thing. So in the 3rd book, I talk about, which is not out yet, so don't go look for it. But I talk about, if your duty or your job is to sweep floors, that is your nature. You are of the nature to sweep floors. This is kind of reflected on the Indian caste system. But it had like a spiritual quality to it, right? That's what you do. That is your dharma. And like it says in the Gita, do your dharma. You can't do somebody else's dharma. So if you're sweeping, the nature of the floor is to become dirty. That is what a floor does. So it is of the nature of the floor to become dirty. It is your nature to sweep. You sweep without attachment, meaning that you sweep as well as you can. It's what you're supposed to do. It is your duty. Not your job, not your occupation, it's the duty. And the floor will become dirty, so not to become attached or wrapped up on how long the floor stays clean, how clean do other people think the floor is. It's you did what you do, right? The floor does what it does. A better way to understand that would be, I worked as a banquet waiter before college, during college, and after college. It was great money. It was a great side job for many years, 12 years. And had a lot of great friends that I worked with. And the banquet captain I worked with that entire time was a man named Tom Richards, who kind of became this father figure to me. Like, my dad was a great dad, but he wasn't a great teacher. I learned inadvertently from my father, for better or worse. But Tom taught me things. And what he taught me how to work. A lot of you have these occupations, these careers, and you meet people who know how to do the task, but they don't know what it means to complete the task, do the task to its fullest, to just work, to be a worker, to work. A lot of people, and it's not about doing it well necessarily as much as it's about work ethic. So what Tom did was he would say, look, all of our prep work, everything that we do, we're going to do it as efficiently and as possible. That efficiency will equal speed. That efficiency equals smoothness, right? Like they say, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. You do things thoughtfully, you do things mindfully, and when you look up, next thing you know, you're doing it perfectly, so that when we do end up in the weeds, because that is the nature of the food and beverage business, is you get in the weeds. It happens. You're already doing everything perfectly. You're already doing it efficiently. There's nothing else to do but to let things unfold. You do what you can do because that's what you do. You can't get mad about it. You can't pitch a fit. This is the nature of the beast. So that was a way that I understood karma yoga early on. In those years, I was spending a lot of time at the Krishna farm in Alachua, so it was a nice, supplement to that, right? Another way to think of it, like I just got done running. The way running is a spiritual practice for me is, like, for instance, today I parked. And I knew where I was gonna run to. I didn't know how far it was. I was just gonna run, and the distance is what the distance is. When I got back to my car, it was 3.92 miles. I kind of thought it'd be 4, but it wasn't. And I'm a barefoot runner. I run road barefoot. I don't run in sand. I think sand is dangerous for me. I don't like running in sand on the beach and shit. To me, asphalt, concrete are safer, believe it or not. But, some of the things I've learned running barefoot is that it's not about what you step on, it's about what sticks. The things that stick are the things that make you change your gait. They make you run weird, which then causes other problems. But you're going to step on things. It's like people go, oh, your feet must not feel anything. It's like, no, my feet feel all of it. For instance, my birthday ritual, which I'll talk about, I burned the shit out of my feet. It was hot, and fuck yeah, it hurt. But the difference is that I don't mind it. I don't mean that in a mystical, it's just like, hey, this is what it is, man. It hurts, it's uncomfortable, but that's just what this is. I run a lot because of how I feel after. I like the feeling of accomplishment. But one of the lessons you can take away from running or most any physical activity is that technique allows you to be efficient. The efficiency allows you to do it longer, okay? But the funny thing is that the longer you do it, the more miles you lay down, the more tired you get, and as you get tired, you slouch. You sacrifice technique, you sacrifice efficiency, which is when you need it the most, is when you're the most tired. And the spiritual path is the same way. It's easy to go to yoga once a week. It's easy to sit in meditation every once in a while. Can you go when it feels fucking horrible? Can you go when you just don't want to? Can you run anyway? Can you just go to, whether it's 26 and 2, Bikram, whatever you call it, or your vinyasa class, and go and just be in that hot fucking room and just do the damn thing? Can you sit quietly with a good posture, even when your mind is running frantically? Can you sit there with it and let it run? Can you let it hurt? Can you just do the thing that you do without, just do it? That to me that becomes karma yoga. Karma meaning to do, yoga meaning to come into action, to come into union. So you're coming into union with God, truth, whatever, through your day-to-day life, through your attractions and your aversions. That's karma. So in the Gita, when Krishna says, at the beginning of time, sorry if you're watching YouTube, my neck is really tight. At the beginning of time, I laid out 2 paths, Jnana Yoga, the path of contemplation, which is like philosophical, thinky stuff, and the path of Karma Yoga, which is to live your life, to live. And he also talks about meditation. So meditation allows you to create space to live, to act, to not attach. So those 3 things are like when I mentioned the bird with the 2 wings. The one wing is the lessons, the intellectual pursuit. The other piece is the practice, to actually have the experience, and through the experience you have these lessons that teach you how to accept the experience and to have the experience without getting caught up in your ego and all that stuff. So that's what we're going to get into a lot of this month. We'll talk a lot about non-attachment versus detachment, what the difference is there. But now I want to talk about turning 48. If you believe that you would benefit from working with me one-on-one on grief and loss, anxiety, ruminating thinking, then shoot me an email or direct message. Or if you're interested in learning about meditation and how it can transform your reality and in turn change your life, then again, please reach out through email or direct message. Thank you. I don't look 48, I don't feel 48, and I certainly don't act 48. So on my birthday, if you've listened to this for any period of time, my birthday is not a happy thing for me. But this year, it's very depressing. It was very depressing, especially after my mom died. Like, I have no parents, I have no grandparents, I have no children, I have none of those things that, really are the source of so much love in people's lives. I felt very alone. I tried to patch that loneliness with various things, people, but never really felt loved and connected and any of that. So anyway, I would always do something very hard to do. I started doing that a few years back. I would do like a long paddle, a hard run, a paddle and a run or whatever. And this year, there's an island here called Peanut Island at the port of Palm Beach. And if you launch from what's called the Blue Heron Bridge to Peanut Island, you do that loop. It's about 2 miles, 2.39, 2.49, depends. And so I added a little to it to get it to get the trek there almost 2 miles, right? So it came to, I believe, really just shy of 4 miles worth of paddling. So what I did was I paddled to Peanut Island, and there's a path that goes around it. And it's pavers, pavers. Horrible for your feet. Hot as fuck. So I paddled to the island. I ran around the island until I got to 3 miles. When I hit 3 miles, I put my goggles on and I swam around the island, which Google said, okay, so my watch and what Google says are 2 different things. My watch said it was more than a mile and a half, or it was about a mile and a half, I'm sorry. I think Google said it was like 1.39 or 1.3 is the path. So I guess, I don't know, the circumference of the island was more. So I swam that, got back on my board and paddled back. Now I swim, but I don't swim that far at a time. I do a certain amount of laps, 300 yards. But man, I didn't really know what I was getting into. I never swam for that long, consistently. So I had a swim buoy, of course, which was a great dry bag. It's a dry bag / swim buoy. It's really awesome. So I have my phone and stuff in there in case I needed help. So the paddle there, I do this because, and it sounds stupid, but I remember originally having this really strong feeling of I have friends that didn't get to 40. And their family would have loved for them to get to 40. So I'm going to do it for them. And that sounds so hokey, but that's the truth. And then it's like, now I do it for those of you that are my age that don't think you can. You can do it. You can change your body. You can become fit. I wasn't always fit. I am now. I wasn't always. And I was deeply spiritual and all that stuff, but I was treating the incarnation like garbage. This beautiful incarnation that I earned, that I acquired and took birth into the world to do this work, to free my soul, and I just took a shit on it. A lot of you are doing that right now. I'm not going to scold you. But, so yesterday, this really was, I really was letting go of the outcome. Because there's parts of the island where the current goes really fast, especially on an incoming tide, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And it was hard, but I'll tell you what's interesting about being in the water and endurance. I very much see running, like I was saying, it's a spiritual practice. Endurance, being able to just be uncomfortable and just be tired and just keep going, because life is like that a lot of times. You are just fucking wiped out. And you still have to go home and love and be present and all that stuff. It's hard to do. I believe that the more time we spend taxing our bodies, it's that Seneca quote, we treat the body rigorously so that the mind will obey. And I can tell you that spiritually things ramped up when I started taking care of my body. Personally, things got better when I started taking care of my body. And I know that that's not a popular thing. Some people call physical fitness white supremacy and colonialism, and that means that's a litmus test for you just being a fucking idiot. You hate your own life, and so you just, that's something that, a lot of times when we take up a spiritual practice, start to improve our life, whatever it is, it's an indictment on other people's behavior. It forces them to look at their own shit. And I'll tell you what else, as somebody who runs barefoot, I'm not doing it because I'm fucking David Goggins. It's a long story how I ended up barefoot. I don't recommend it. It's not it's not for everybody. It's for me. It's great for me. It's not great for you. I don't care. But there are people that feel the need to slow down and yell things at me. It's usually, if I'm running in the road, I'm running against traffic. And a lot of times what happens is people will pull up in the opposite lane, and it's usually someone in a giant truck, some sort of a muscle car, and they slow down and they yell for me to get out of the road, and then they use an F word there. Sometimes I'm in little purple shorts, like I was today, so you can see where they'd be confused. Because, colors, that means something. But I want to say this. My ability to do something is not a commentary on your inability to do something. I don't give a shit what you can and can't do. I'm just doing my thing. So, there's that. But I know what it is to have your body out of control, and it's not good. You'll feel better if you just start taking care of it. But the thing that's interesting about these water endurance things, like when I think about paddling, yesterday, did I throw down a ton of miles? Nope. But on the way home, that wind was stiff and that wind was straight in my face. And it was the hardest paddle I've ever done. I've paddled in higher winds, but I hadn't done it after running 3 miles and swimming for over a mile. So that was a different animal. And the thing that's interesting is you can't walk away from it. You can't just go home. Swimming, you can't, I guess you can stop and take a break, but you have to finish. You have to finish. You can't live in the water. Was I going to let me and my board just float off to Miami? No, it was just,
Actually, I live south of it, so I think eventually we're just blown home. That may be an option next time. I probably should have thought about that. Now I'm thinking about it, I should have just let that wind blow my eyes. No, but, you know, you can't just stop. And and you know, one of my favorite things to do with clients was to paddle into wind. Because you're going into the wind, and if you stop to get comfortable and to take a breather, the wind just blows you backwards. You go backwards. You lose ground. If you stop going, you lose ground. Think about that next time you want to cheat day eating, you want to like not go do this thing, not go do that thing. I've been there, and you do lose ground. I'm saying this from experience. You learn the most about a path by falling off of it. Some of you really hear that. I've heard it. I've dealt with it. We've all done it. But paddling, it's like you have to stay consistent. Your form, remember, form and efficiency are going to matter. That's why it matters to practice good form in these things, whether it's yoga or paddling or swimming. Because when you need it and your battery's gone, the form and the technique are what's going to get you out. It's what's going to get you home. And I see such a correlation between the ability to do those hard things and live life. Not just live, but to not be a slave to the senses, as Krishna says, right? In the Gita, when Krishna talks about not being a slave to the senses, he's not meaning sight, smell, taste, touch. He's talking about the nervous system. You know, the body starts to feel bad and the mind starts to race and saying, stop, 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 stop. Or you're so sad you just can't. And the body says, stop, just go to bed, just go to bed. And that's, you know, not gonna help you. This thing where like, this treat yourself bullshit, it's like treat yourself to this, like, look, all right, I'm just gonna say, this is a little, you know, a little finger waggy. I'll use myself as an example. Okay. So I started eating really, really good. And when I cheat, I've cheated myself because I feel bad. I didn't cheat and it's like, it's so cute and fun and delicious. Nope, you feel like shit because your body's not used to eating garbage anymore. These companies don't care about you. They do not care about you. This system, the crushing system, doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about your health. It doesn't care about your nutrition. It cares about bottom line, and it cares about pleasing its shareholders. That's what it cares about, not you. So you not freeing yourself from that, you're not just indulging, you're feeding into the system. It is not cheaper. Like, for instance, we have Publix here. And be like, oh, Publix is cheaper than Whole Foods. It's not. When you compare vegetables and fruit things, it's not. It's not. It's either comparable or cheaper, actually. Where's the BOGO on Cinnamon Toast Crunch? The shit you're not supposed to eat. Paper towels. I got buy one and get one on paper towels the other day. I did that. That was great. What was really dumb was only 2-pack. So really, you only got 4 rolls of paper towels, but I bought them, whatever. So the system fools you. It tricks you. And there are, like, as far as like energy drinks, things like that, dude, I was the king of that shit. And I have found organic alternatives and with just as much caffeine. It's out there. You just gotta, you know, look a little bit. Is it more expensive than like C4 or Ghost? Nope, same price. In fact, maybe cheaper. There's no excuse to play into their system anymore. When you're not healthy physically, again, their system has you. The pharmaceutical system has you. The grocery, the fucking food industry has you. The medical establishment that keeps you sick. I know what it sounds like. Just bear with me. It keeps you sick, and that's how they make money. But if you're, independent, meaning that you can take care of yourself, you don't need them anymore. You don't need them. There's too much knowledge out there. There's people giving it away. A little bit of Googling, a little bit of research, and you find out that what you're eating is actually dog shit. So to have this 1976 model and to have it working better than ever, oh my God. Even my back injury that recently I really re-injured it pretty good. But there's a supplement I started taking, and it's called Pure. It's in a white bottle. It's like tendon ligament support. Because really that's what's going on. It's tendons and ligaments pushing on things and inflammation and all that, and stuff's not healing. That with the turmeric I've been taking, it's the same turmeric Tony Hawk takes, and if that fucker can still skate, then it's gotta be something. That, I then stopped consuming like sugar alcohols. I recently found out there's cellulose in shredded cheese. Jesus Christ. So there's things that you can do. And my mind is very young. My body feels great. And I feel loved. I am so loved. My mother would be very, very happy with how my life is turning out. How it's turned out. It's been a wild 11 months. A lot of big changes. Some scary ones, but it worked out. And yesterday, when I got done or 2 days ago when I got done with my birthday ritual, I was fed a half-pound chocolate eclair from an Italian bakery. Because glucose, you get your glucose levels right. That's why you gotta, after you do something very physically demanding and you've done a podcast on what it means to be healthy, it's good to finish it off with a half-pound chocolate eclair. Okay, I'm home. I ran. I'm going to take a shower. I love you guys. And if you have any questions about anything I talked about, you want like a little advice or some things that I've noticed about taking care of the old meat suit, I've got a lot of knowledge from my girlfriend she's so smart. She's done the research. She did the reading. And she was in the same boat I was at one point. And she changed her body in an amount of time that is concerning. She did it naturally, but it's concerning. The fact that she has that gear to be that, and I'll just say it, crazy, is something I guess I got to keep an eye on. Anyway, I love you. And I will see you in all the groups on Patreon. All right, bye. If you enjoy this content and you would like to support the creation of more of this content, go to the website, theinfinitesparkofbeing.com, and explore the many ways to do that. Also, click the About button, read a little bit about me, and see what I have to offer you. And don't forget to check out the Patreon tiers if you'd like to join a spiritual community of everyday people with not so everyday interests. Go ahead and check out the Patreon/donate button on the website.